we are steadfastly committed to a two-state solution
Right.
and will continue to work with our partners towards its implementation. Quote. So last week we saw France and the UK doing what to me was another humiliating U-turn in recognition of a Palestinian state. For months now, they were building up to making this grand announcement in a conference in New York, sponsored by Saudi Arabia. And this was supposed to be the moment where they declare or recognize a Palestinian state. But they haven't. Now they say that they will not be doing that. And so how do you read this? On the one hand, here today, they issue this statement and couch this within the context of a two-state solution and their commitment to it. And on the same week, France and UK do this humiliating U-turn.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as a U-turn, and for the following reason. This began with a statement by the French president, Emmanuel Macron, in mid-April that France was considering recognition of a Palestinian state at this June conference that it is co-hosting with Saudi Arabia at the United Nations later this month. He never said France intended to recognize Palestinian statehood. And when he made his statement, he said that he wanted to do this in a context where Arab states normalize relations with Israel, where Hamas disappears, and he put in all these other conditions. But by merely uttering the words France is considering, many reporters and observers assumed that France had made a decision, which it most clearly hadn't. And as people kept saying, France is going to recognize, France is going to recognize, the government in Paris never contradicted those reports. So it allowed this bubble to build up. What was also happening is there was reporting that France wanted to do this as a joint initiative with Great Britain, and that clearly was never on the cards. I mean, Keir Starmer is so deep in Israel's pocket, you would need an arm 17 meters long to even reach him. So that was never on the cards. And what France has done now is merely reiterate that its recognition of Palestinian statehood is dependent on a number of conditions that are impossible to achieve. So I already said in April that it's very unlikely that France was going to do it, and France has now confirmed that its version of a two-state solution is total and unconditional recognition of Israel, conditional eventual, potential, possible, based on impossible conditions, recognition of Palestine. So, for these governments to claim that they actually support a two-state settlement is absolute hogwash. They allow Israel to undermine it with total impunity. They impose no consequences on the daily expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. They seem perfectly fine with genocide in the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is supposed to be part of this Palestinian state. It's basically a pile of rubble now. So to attach any credibility to any Western leader who claims to support a two-state settlement, it's really just diversionary camouflage to cover what's, to focus on potentially something that might happen in the year 3800, so that we don't focus on what's happening on the ground now.